welcome back to the Draft FC podcast, the website, YouTube channel, and podcast dedicated to all things official Draft FPL. My name's Kieran, and I'm your host for one more game week preview. Today we'll be going over waiver options, hidden gems, predicted lineups, and general PL chat ahead of game week 36. Mitch and the little one are doing really well, and he and longed for visuals will be back next week. So while you've been with me, you've seen some great tips come in. We had the infamous Wolves triple cleaning. We've seen Mount score his first goal since March 2024. Trippier smashed a 15-pointer. Sharda has scored 3 goals and Collins got a cleanie and assist. However, and unfortunately and sadly, a Southampton triple cleanie was just a bridge too far. This week I'm going to focus team by team. Again, just actually more fixture by fixture, and we'll see if this format works well. Just make sure we've covered off all bases, because we should be considering all teams at this point of the season. I'm recording this episode on Tuesday, 6th May, so any team news, injury developments, and or press conference information is up to date as of now, and is of course subject to change. Mitch has also sent through some notes this week, so this pod is backed by 2 Draft FC heads. So hopefully two more knowledgeable people to go through this information. And this week I'll be discussing Havertz, Tielemans, Garnacho, amongst others. In terms of key injuries and suspensions, we've got Joelinton, Tarkowski, De Ligt, and Maddison, who you should look to drop. And just for confirmation as well, there were talks between Aston Villa, Spurs and the Premier League about potentially moving their fixture in game week 37, but that looks like it has been ratified that fixture is changing to a Friday night, so no worries about potential last minute doubles or blanks, but it was something to keep an eye on before today. Right, in the main section, when I'm going to be talking about ownership, I'm going to be relating to 8-team leagues. I'm just going to say this up front just to make things easier as we go along. And we'll start with Fulham Everton. Fulham have been up and down, and the season is sort of fizzling out. This fixture seems the last time they've got an opportunity to score some points, and they should be viable for you as managers, and we should consider their defenders in this case. Sessegnon has been playing further forward in some moments as well, so has some attacking returns 2 out of the last 3 weeks, so is one option. The others are Anderson and Bassi, who are 100% nailed, whereas Sessegnon and Tete have been in and out of the team. So if you're really looking for 100% nailed, Anderson and Bassi are the way to go. On the Everton side, Mitch reckons McNeil could be worth a punt, especially with his goal this past game week. Next up, we've got Ipswich and Brentford. Brentford doing, along with Wolves, are one of the informed sides in the Premier League with 5 wins and 2 draws in their last 7 games. Sharda has notched his 10th league goal of the season and has a 0.65 expected goal involvements per 90 minutes in the last 5 appearances. And a key thing to recognise is just how well the whole team at Brentford are doing and how much concentration there is in certain players. It's a big achievement to reach 10 Premier League goals in a season, and the likes of Arsenal, Everton, Leicester, Man United and Southampton don't have a single player that has reached that level, and Brentford have 3. They also have Damsgaard, who's reached 10 assists, and they also have Collins, who's reached 7 assists, amazingly. Something that's really important to remember, given the fact that they have Ipswich and then Fulham up next. But Collins being the second ranked defender when it comes to assists is something to remember for next season's draft. Just want to keep in the back of your mind. In terms of Ipswich, who they're facing this week, it's a tough game for them, but their following games are Leicester and West Ham. Enciso is a bit of a Draft FC favourite, and he's been involved in 4 of the 9 goals since he arrived at the club. So he might be worth getting in ahead of time, so getting in this week, just so that you have him for those Leicester and West Ham games. Next up, Southampton against Man City. You already probably know what I'm going to say, but aside from that, Haaland was back on the bench last week. He's likely to get minutes, and you should factor this in when you're considering which City assets are going to play over the last few games of the season. Given they're playing Southampton this week, any available starter would be worthwhile, including the likes of Kovacic, Nunes, O'Reilly, Bernardo, and Gundogan. Doku and Savino are worth a punt, could be worth a punt, but their minutes are such a risk that you should go into that decision with adequate cover on your bench. Next up, Wolves versus Brighton. Though Brighton pulled off a draw against Newcastle last week, Newcastle were by far the stronger side, and Wolves have been in great form of late. Aït-Nouri is the one that we'd like to call out here. He's 60% owned and has the highest non-penalty expected goal involvement of Wolves players over the last 5 games at 0.67. So he's the one to target. Next, Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. After a massive result against Fulham, this is another must-win for Villa. McGinn's minutes have become patchier, so it's hard to recommend him, but Tielemans at 16% ownership is worth your time, especially with 4 returns in the last 5. Mitch also highlighted that Asensio could be worth a look this week. He could be due a return, and I've not really got much to say on the Bournemouth side for us draft managers. Most of the assets that we want, the likes of Evan Nilsson, are already picked up. Newcastle, Chelsea, and this is a massive game. Right? You don't need me to tell you. Both teams are level on points and also on goal difference. As I said last week, Chelsea are a different proposition with Lavia in the team, though YouTube captions tried to roast me and my pronunciation by writing that I had said labia. So ignoring that, Chelsea are much better and improved with Lavia in the side. I expect no changes when it comes to their team selection this week. And that means if you are holding on to the likes of James and Gusto, I'd look elsewhere for minutes and I'd look elsewhere for clean sheet potential. This game is no doubt going to be a much tougher one than the one against title winners Liverpool, who are still celebrating. And the key thing to call out for Newcastle is that Gordon came on and looked possessed in those first moments, almost winning a penalty, and it was just a free kick on the edge of the box. He may be the one that gets a look in this week ahead of Barnes or Murphy. So one to look at, given that some managers got so frustrated and have been dropping him over the last couple of weeks and could be worth a cheeky pickup. Man United, West Ham. With the bottom 3 kind of decided at the beginning of the season, before we even kicked the ball, this feels like a bottom of the table 6-pointer. Like who's actually going to finish bottom of the Premier League? Who's going to finish 17th? Because those 3 we can just kind of ignore. And I think this isn't something to be overlooked. I think the players will really not want to finish in that position. When it comes to West Ham, they've scored in each of their last 5 games and have not kept a clean sheet since Gameweek 27. So therefore, I expect goals. Bowen will of course already be picked up in your leagues, but Kudus is good to look at with 70% ownership. The ones to consider on the United side are Garnacho at 68 and Mount at just 2%. And he got a goal last week, just to remind you. Nottingham Forest, Leicester. It's a big fixture for Forest that could bring their Champions League hopes back to life. None of their assets have been in particularly good form, so it could be any of them that bangs this week. And just like Man City, given the opposition, almost any starter, other than the likes of Yates, are worth a punt here, given the fixture. So just a couple more to round off. We've got Spurs versus Palace. Palace defenders could be worth a look here, but Spurs have generally been able to score in the last few games. It's more worth a look if you're desperate for defensive assets and struggling for options. Liverpool versus Arsenal, big game to finish. Mitch was quite bullish in his notes on Arsenal assets, and he feels that it might be time to trade them away. I'm a little less bullish on this because I think Arteta will be lighting a fire up these players' asses to make sure they don't repeat the limp end to their past 2 seasons. You could argue that if they win against PSG, their top players, the likes of Rice and Saka, might slow slightly, knowing that they don't want to get injured before that massive game. But I think generally all the players will be fighting for a starting place if they do get to that final. So I'm not too worried about these players just at the moment. The one call out is that Havertz could be worth a pickup, given the noise we've been hearing that he may be back before the end of the season. So that's the rundown of all the fixtures. I may have missed some players, so please do comment down below anyone that I haven't mentioned. As while I'm doing this, I'll also just remind you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. And last week we had some really lovely comments, including one from Jogo Bonito, and Mitch and Taran decided that with all the good vibes coming to us, they wanted to keep the good vibes flowing, and they decided to reward Jogo Bonito with an annual pass for the next season. So just wanted to call that out. This is the sort of thing that we would like to do every now and then. We do appreciate all of you that take the time to listen to our pods, use our platform, and yeah, it was really lovely. So please do comment if you feel like I've missed someone in the episode. Hidden gems this week, we've got Mount at 4.1% in 10-team leagues, and I'm going to cheat a little bit, and you've got Nunes at Man City, who's got 12.3% ownership. He's kind of nailed down that right back spot, and there was a comment down below last week around O'Reilly and him being out of position because he's a midfielder, and same with Nunes, right? It's important to remember Nunes and O'Reilly are not playing right back and left back for Southampton. They are playing for Man City. Most of the time Man City are attacking, and they are the wingers in that system that can really drive into the box when the opposite winger is making a move. So don't just downplay them or dismiss them just because they are playing a position further back. In terms of the most hidden gem, we've got, again, I'm going to cheat a little bit again, Kayode. I'm not fully sure about the pronunciation, but he's been playing for Brentford for the last 3 or 4 games, and he's got 16.4% ownership in 16-team leagues and is worth a pickup. In terms of last few things to round out, we've got predicted lineups are already updated on the website, but we'll tweak them again on Thursday as news comes through. And that's it. This is another short episode. Like I said, this is the last time I'll be here for a Gameweek preview. Mitch will be back from next week. We'll look to do some content together, and I've started dreaming up whether I'm going to do a Chelsea rundown in the off season, if any of you are interested. So yeah, it'll be back to normal scheduling next week. The waiver deadline is at 1:30 on Friday, so a little bit later than last week. And just one reminder, do like and subscribe, and stay shook.